Hi, I told you I was going to make a press release on Monday. Here it is Wednesday. Things kind of got away from me here at the ranch trying to catch up from being gone. I'm going to have to read my statement, so I apologize for doing so up front, but thank you. We, the Finicum family, hold in high regard the many journalists and reporters who wrestle to remain true to the universally known mission and moral code of their field of work. I think we are safe to define such a mission and moral code to be a work that prompts and stimulates a high standard in regard to public accountability, to serve the citizens by providing a flow of information in an accurate, comprehensive, timely, impartial, and understandable manner. But will National Public Radio, Oregon Public Broadcasting, Long Reads, Literary Hub, and freelancers Leah Preston Sotilli and Sally Denton continue giving the public manipulated half-truths about our husband, father, and family member Lavoy Finicum? What is their political agenda that justifies using Lavoy and our family as their political chess pieces to reach their untrustworthy political ends? We are not putting up with their political threats and dangerous games any longer. We are not your chess pieces. On July 16, 2016, Lavoy's cousin, Josh Clough, his wife, and children were terrorized by domestic terrorist Glenn Jones. He bombed their home and committed suicide on their front lawn. The Clough family barely escaped with their lives. This violent left-wing extremist was a disgruntled employee of Josh who had caught him stealing the drugs. Josh had to testify against him, which ultimately resulted in the heinous act of domestic terrorism. In a Left Behind manifesto, similar to the one left behind by recently deceased left-wing Antifa domestic terrorist William Van Spronson, the suicide bomber maliciously and falsely accused Josh of financing a June 2016 attempt to blow up a federal building. He made his diabolical plot to kill the Cloughs based on false media reports stating that Lavoy was involved in planning the June 2016 bombing attempt. Inevitably, on July 1st, 2016, that media source corrected their original June 23rd, 2016 report because the federal prosecutor in court admitted that Lavoy was not involved. The FBI interrogated Josh for 12 hours, all based on hysterical scribblings of a suicidal madman and thief who was triggered by fake news. Ultimately, Josh and his wife were cleared and are no longer suspects. The media has not, and they will not give you those details, other than half-truths and innuendos baked in the excrement of their political left-wing agenda. They want you to see and view the domestic terrorist suicide bomber Glenn Jones as a social justice warrior, like William Van Spronson, giving his life for the greater good by murdering the Clough family and defaming Lavoy Finicum. They are going to lead you to believe that Lavoy, who was wrongfully murdered 5 months earlier, was directly or indirectly involved in the June 2016 bombing attempt. They also want you to view our husband, father, and family member Lavoy Finicum as the villain who was hell-bent on committing acts of domestic terrorism and whose family deserved to die at the hands of this Manchurian candidate of the media. Lavoy did not support violence. In one of his YouTube videos, he states, "We should never point guns at each other." And he also said, "I have never pointed guns at anyone, and I do not intend to." He also did not support violence against law enforcement. He stated for the record in an interview with Al Jazeera that law enforcement lives are precious. They have family too, end quote. Why do we continue to allow the media and so-called freelancers to abuse their freedom of the press privileges, to prostitute our lives, our liberty, and our property for their treasonous political agenda? They should be ashamed and held accountable for using us as their political chess pieces. The Obama administration's FBI used a falsified threat assessment to convince the Oregon State Police to murder Lavoy. And without a warrant or a broken state law, the Oregon State Police were manipulated into escalating a dead man stop to kill him. The politicized FBI shot at Lavoy with his hands in the air. The untouchable FBI uncovered their actions, altered the crime scene, and shifted the focus of their unbelievable wrongdoings onto Lavoy. They colluded with media to portray Lavoy as a domestic terrorist without due process. They did so because he protested the wrongful imprisonment of the Hammond family and the egregious federal policies that were destroying their business and his. Ironically, the Hammonds were presidentially pardoned in 2018 and had their grazing permits restored in 2019. The very reasons for Lavoy's protest at Malheur National Wild Refuge, shouldn't this mean that Lavoy was vindicated in his actions? Below is a fraction of the unbelievable actions taken by the Obama administration's FBI. In collusion with politically aligned and friendly media to silence and kill their political opposition. 1. The Obama administration's FBI dressed up like militia, coercing and intimidating the residents of Burns, Oregon. 2. The FBI used a falsified threat assessment to drive the domestic terrorist narrative and ultimately killed Lavoy. 3. The FBI manipulated the Harney County Sheriff's Department into giving up control. The FBI manipulated the Oregon State Police into believing Lavoy was a national security threat and prematurely shooting Lavoy while he was complying with commands at the very first stop. The FBI escalated and instigated killing a person they convicted without due process. The FBI colluded with media to say that Lavoy reached for a gun. When will the media report that the first person to touch Lavoy's lifeless body testified to not seeing a gun? That the scene was unsecured for 9 hours? That FBI agents are seen on video shown in court manipulating the crime scene, and that the Oregon medical examiner testified to seeing a weapon in Lavoy's coat pocket and a well-worn footpath from Lavoy's body to his truck 9 hours later. And yet no one in the media bothers to ask if the gun was planted. The FBI altered the crime scene. The FBI lied about shooting at Lavoy with his hands in the air. The FBI destroyed evidence. The FBI broke multiple crime scene protocols for 9 hours. The FBI broke officer-involved shooting protocols by inspecting their own weapons 2 months later. The FBI is currently now being investigated for lying and obstruction of justice. And still, Lavoy is maliciously painted as the villain because a supporter named Bill Keebler was upset about the FBI's manipulations and murder of Lavoy. Did the FBI entrap Bill Keebler to act out his frustration and anger at the FBI for the murder of Lavoy? Instead, the media only tells you Bill Keebler tried to bomb a BLM building and spins it so that Lavoy was somehow involved 5 months after the FBI colluded to murder Lavoy, and without all the additional information we provided above. Does the FBI bear any responsibility for our husband, father, and family member's death? Instead, the media will tell you that Lavoy colluded with his cousin, Josh Clough, to finance Bill Keebler's attempted bombing of the BLM building. Despite the truth, the media paints an actual thief, drug user, domestic terrorist, and suicidal madman, Glenn Jones, who blew up Josh's house, as a justified social justice warrior. Paints the FBI as justified in killing Lavoy, despite their muddied reputation, despite their muddied integrity, and paints Lavoy as a villainous, evil, mastermind, violent domestic terrorist who was hell-bent on committing suicide by cop. When are these manipulations and political incitements going to stop? We are making this statement to hold the media accountable to their First Amendment privileges and the FBI to their solemn duty to safeguard the United States of America and its people. The freedom of the press is a cherished right, and we want to believe in a free and an unbiased press, but today's media has lost the confidence of the American people. We see you as fake news. The domestic safety and security of our nation has been entrusted to law enforcement, and we want to trust in their intention and integrity. But today's FBI has lost the trust of the American people, who see you as deep state, lawless political operatives. It is up to both the media and the FBI to restore your integrity and to regain our trust. Our family will hold the FBI and media accountable for this subterfuge and murder of our husband, father, and family member, Lavoy Finicum. Thank you for stay tuned for the press conference. I appreciate you taking this time. And I thank you for continuing to stand with me and my family as we continue to fight for justice and accountability, to fight for reform, to help to ensure the right to due process for each individual in this country. Thank you, and God bless you.